Hi, it's Dr. Z. In this video, I will review the data organization and calculations necessary for the independent t-test project. By the end of this video, you'll be able to organize your data and conduct an independent t-test. Please feel free to pause the video at any time to take notes. Let's refresh your memory on the expectations for the independent t-test project. You will conduct your own small-scale independent measures research study. In other words, you will compare two separate groups on the same dependent variable. At this point, you have collected data and are ready to organize the data and complete the calculations for your research study. In the project module on Canvas, there's a page called Creating Survey for Project. This photo here is a sample survey number 1, which is the example posted on Canvas. Surveys should always have an informed consent statement. I have included a generic statement on Canvas for you to use. Make sure to edit the statement to reflect your study. The Google form should consist of 2 questions. In this survey example, the first question was the independent variable. This was the quasi-independent variable that we used to create 2 separate groups. In the survey, gender is the independent variable, and the 2 separate groups will be females and males. The second question was the dependent variable, which we measured to get a number value. In the survey, self-esteem is the dependent variable, and self-esteem was measured using a 5-point Likert scale from 0 as no self-esteem and 4 as high self-esteem. Once you have finished designing your Google form, your survey is ready to send to participants. Click on the purple Send button here. You'll be given several options to send the Google form. I recommend selecting the link option and choosing the option to shorten URL. This option gives you a shorter, more manageable web link to send to participants. Once data collection is complete, you are ready to look at your data. Click on Responses and it will take you to a different area of your Google form. After you click on Responses, the Google form will switch to the Responses area of your Google form. This page provides charts of your data, or in essence, data includes your independent and dependent variable. You will not use these charts in your report. To view your data on the results of the Google form, click on View on Sheets. This action will create a new document called a Google Sheet, which is like an Excel spreadsheet. This spreadsheet is where your data will be located. This Google Sheet contains your data. Your first question from the Google form will populate the first column on the spreadsheet. Using sample survey number 1, the first question was the independent variable, which was gender. Your second question from the Google form will be the second column on the spreadsheet. The second question was the dependent variable, which was self-esteem. In the survey example, the first male responded with a self-esteem score of 4, as shown in green, and the first female responded with a self-esteem score of 3, as shown in orange. You will need to transfer the data onto a piece of paper for organization and calculations. Now that you have your data, it's time to organize it. For each group, you will create 2 columns. Recall that X is the individual score for an individual. The X column is the data, or the number value of the dependent variable. The X squared column is needed for later calculations. In the survey example, the first male responded with a self-esteem of 4, as shown here. This value is the first data point. You will need to collect data until you reach the required n equals 10 in each group. Once the data is organized, it's time for descriptive statistics. Descriptive statistics are how we describe the data in a way that is easy for others to understand. You will not be able to conduct the independent t-test until these descriptive statistics are calculated for each group. First, you will calculate the sum of squares for each group. Then you will calculate the sample mean for each group. Next, you need to square each individual score. For example, the first male had a score of 4. Then x squared would be 4 times 4, or 16. Then you will calculate the sum of x squared for each group. Finally, you'll calculate the sum of squares using the computational formula for each group. The computational formula uses the sum of x and the sum of x squared that you've already calculated. While you could use a definitional formula for sum of squares, it will take longer to calculate. Once the descriptive statistics are complete, you are ready to calculate the inferential statistics. This means that you will calculate the independent t-test and make inferences about the two groups. You will need to know the sample size, mean, and sum of squares for each group. Please refer to problem set 8 on how to calculate an independent t-test two-tailed. In general, the steps are: Step 1, state the null and research hypotheses, in both a sentence and notation. Step 2, set your significance level P for your study. As the researcher, you get to make the decision this time. Then you'll calculate the degrees of freedom to find the critical region T. Step 3, calculate the pooled variance, the estimated standard error, and the t-score for the research study. Step 4, make a decision. And finally, the unofficial step 5 is to calculate effect size. After completing the independent t-test, it is time for summary and interpretation statements. The summary statement for an independent t-test will consist of 2 sentences. For the report, the entire results section consists only of the summary statement. The first sentence will identify the 2 separate groups and report the sample means for each group on what is being measured, or on your dependent variable. The second sentence reports whether the study was statistically significant or not between the 2 groups. This sentence will report the calculated t-score, degrees of freedom, significance level, and effect size. The interpretation statement will be the opening sentences of the discussion section of the report. The first sentence explains the direction of the t-score and significance of the research study. The second sentence describes the effect size of the research study. The third sentence, if needed, describes that the study should be repeated with a larger sample size. The discussion section of your report requires additional material beyond that of the interpretation statement. This additional material includes a description that explains whether or not you found what you thought you were going to find, statements on any discrepancies between statistical significance and non-significance and effect size, and statements on how you can improve your research design in future studies. Everyone is going to say repeat with a larger sample size. I want more than that. I encourage you to review the grading rubric on Canvas to ensure that you meet the requirements for the discussion section. In summary, the Independent T-Test project is a comprehensive assignment that summarizes what you have learned about descriptive and inferential statistics. Data organization and calculations of a statistical test are an essential Lego building block in understanding statistics.